Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials, and in this video we're going to continue on the series where we're building TikTok using Ruby on Rails. So I know you guys really liked the last video that I dropped, which was the start of this series, and I was also really excited to share that and get started on this series. And now in this video we're going to be doing a ton of improvements to make this app way better and to make it more of, a TikTok kind of experience and more user friendly. So right off the bat, I wanted to have some videos to actually test with, so I put together a couple shorts that I can upload and kind of like test this out. So why don't we just get started uploading the first short. I got this little like dog that was scared of the ocean. I put this up. Dog scared of ocean. I'm not really going to put the description because, that doesn't really matter. And right off the bat, one thing that's kind of interesting is it brings us to the show page, which right now we're not really like using it, just kind of like really ugly. So what I'd probably rather this do is just bring us back to the home page. I think that'd be a better experience. So that's probably the first thing I'll change. Let's go to the controllers, head over to the post controller, and I'm going to look for the create action. So right down here on the create action, we have this whole block, which like I said before, this is kind of unnecessary to do this whole respond to, unless you're going to support a JSON API on the same page. But this is something that scaffolding does right out of the box, just because they want to be as helpful as possible. But we really don't need this, so I'm just going to delete the respond to block and get rid of the JSON, get rid of the format HTML, and just leave the simple response, because it's going to use HTML by default. So now our create action looks really slimmed down. And right here, after the save, we're redirecting to post. All I want to do is just change that to redirect to root path, which means it'll just bring us back to the home page after we create a new post. Now if I go back to the home page, oh, this is unexpected. So now we have our posts showing up side by side. It's silly, because, on TikTok, they're supposed to be on top of each other, like one after the other. But I guess for whatever reason, the styling put them side by side, which is kind of funny. So let's go take a look at that. I'm going to go over to the app, use the feed show page. And on this show page, let's see what we're doing. So we're actually using flex, which means it would stack the item left to right. And I actually want to change that to flex call. And instead of using justify center, I'm going to use item center. Since we're using flex call, you kind of have to like switch those around to get the same setup. And the only reason I was using justify center or item center is to center the video, see how it's perfectly centered in the middle of the page. That's why I'm using it. And now it looks like the videos are displaying correctly. You kind of just have to like scroll down to see the next video. And another thing is that it's not showing the latest video first, which is probably at least like a good start that we could do. And the reason is because it's rendering the videos in order, I'm pretty sure, of the ID or something like that. So what we really want to do is go up to that feed controller and we can change the ordering of how we're loading posts. I'll show you how easy that is. So if you go to the app controllers feed controller, right here where we define this post instance variable, we just said app post equals post.all. But if we want to order it by something like the date, you could just add a .order, and then we could pass in created at. Now you can choose if it's going to be descending or ascending. So a lot of times when you're ordering things, you just think about whatever the number is. And for created at, it's not a number, it's like a date time stamp. Or actually, I think it's a timestamp, which means it has all the information like date, time, minutes, all that stuff. So when you're ordering by the time, I think you want to do descending, which means whatever's the latest, which I think would be a higher number. Although obviously a timestamp isn't really a number. But if we do reload, okay, now it works better. So we get the latest post right here. And then if you scroll down, you see older posts. And I'm sure if we go and post more videos, they will show up at the top. I have another video here. I basically just got a bunch of dog videos. I also have some car videos. And yeah, I think that's a good thing to start with. So dogs hiding on grass. Now, obviously, we all probably know TikTok has a lot of crazy stuff, like stuff that I would not want to put in this video. I don't want to get demonetized, but yeah, let's just keep it nice and friendly, nice and happy on our TikTok Reels, because that's how I think it should be anyways. And then maybe I'll start making coding content for our platform. the next thing that I see is, I mean, this is pretty good, right? We can see this feed, but it's not really how TikTok does their feeds. So for TikTok, when you go there, it's kind of like they show you one post at a time. And then when you go to scroll, it kind of like actually scrolls the whole page and it loads in a new post. So I don't think they actually keep the record old posts. Now I'm not sure if that's correct, but what I'm almost thinking is that we'd add in some custom code that like as you scroll, it might just reload the whole page, and then we probably would show like one video per page. Now I don't really know, we're gonna have to think about this more, figure out how we're going to get this experience to work. But
when you want to exercise,
whoops. I gotta be careful not to get myself demonetized too, just in case some of these shorts have music. So I'm gonna just mute the site for now, but I do know that the audio is coming through properly. All right, so let's think about how we're going to do this experience to make it better. So it is kind of tricky. I've never really, I mean, I've worked on sites like this, but this is kind of more of a new thing for me too, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So how about if we just start by maybe just rendering one post at a time? Kind of like we'll simulate an algorithm, because that's another thing that we're gonna have to build actually, is the TikTok algorithm, where you get like you get recommended posts that they think that you'll be interested in. Now, I don't really like a lot of the algorithms. I feel like they're pretty toxic, but we can always make a better platform. Like, of course, we're gonna make a way better platform than them. You can put your own terms of service. You can put whatever you want. You can even delete people's posts that you don't like because it's your platform. And that's kind of the best thing about creating your own platform, is you have full control over the whole website. And that is always a good time. So I think what I'll do is, how about we just grab a random post for now and we'll just simulate a TikTok algorithm. Instead of just ordering like we are here, what I'll say is I'll just say sample. Grab one post, and I'll even change at post to just singular post. And of course, we're gonna have to go over to the views and change up how we're doing that in the view. So if I go over to the feed show page, right now we're rendering like a collection. So instead we could actually just get rid of this and say render at post, and it will already know to look for the post partial and to use the post model. At least I think this should work. It might actually try to render the wrong post partial. Let's see. If I reload, yep. Just like I said, it's rendering the wrong partial. Now it's rendering the one from the post folder. So I guess that doesn't work. Instead, we have to just manually say the partial name. And the funny thing about render, you could say partial hard-coded, or you could actually just pass in a string. It's kind of interesting, but I like it. So we could just get rid of the partial keyword and say render post. But then to pass in the local, we'll use a key value and we'll say post is at post, and that should actually work. If we reload, now we have our post, and this looks pretty clean. And then almost what I'm thinking is, like, as you scroll down, right, like maybe once you get to the bottom of scrolling, what could happen is basically it would just reload the page and render a new post. I think that's a great place to start in our app. So all we have to do is figure out how we can listen for that scroll event and then actually reload the page. We're probably going to use some JavaScript for that. So I think what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and create a new stimulus controller. Let's go into the console. I'm going to do a railsg stimulus command. And the name of the stimulus controller, I guess, will just be called feed, since I'm going to add some custom JavaScript for the feed. So now that we have that controller generated, we can restart. I'll go back into the code now. Let's head over to the app JavaScript controllers folder and the feed controller. And now inside of here, we'll be able to add any custom JavaScript that we want to the feed. And I think really what we want is we want to go back to the feed page and set up some sort of event. So maybe I'll create a method in feed controller called, like, I don't know, you can call it whatever you want. Maybe you could just call it scroll, honestly. And then back in the feed show page, we're going to need to connect our stimulus controller. Like always, when you're using stimulus, you connect it directly to the element. So we'd say data-controller, and then we're going to say feed. And now Another thing with stimulus is you don't want to really add your event listeners inside of the JavaScript because that always gets super, super messy. So that's probably the biggest mistake I see when people are using stimulus and they're using it the wrong way. Is they'll have something like in the connect where they add all these like document, add event listener, like query selector. Like that's not stuff that you're supposed to do with stimulus. They give you an API, they give you a really clean setup for a reason. So you don't need to have all of that code to make your JavaScript controller just massive and gross to work with. Instead, you should use these data attributes on the HTML because it keeps it super simple. And you know what? Stimulus is way more simple than most JavaScript libraries. When I go to other JavaScript libraries, like Vue or like all these things, they have all this crazy stuff like brackets and like AXB, like all this weird stuff that it just feels gross. Like who's gonna wake up and remember all that stuff? Compared to stimulus, it's just like it's easy to read, it's easy to look at. That's why I like it. Anyways, to set your event listeners, what you do is instead of doing all that JS, we're just going to use a data action keyword, and the action is how you set up methods in your controller to react to events from the HTML and the browser. So what we could say is we'll say scroll. So whenever somebody scrolls on this particular element right here, we're going to target feed controller and our certain action, which could be scroll. And boom, just like that, this tiny bit of code now sets up an event listener to respond to this action. And now we're going to get the event, and we could just console log this user scrolled the element, and we could print out the event to console as well. And now I'll go back into the code and I'm gonna do a little scroll, and it didn't actually come through, which is funny. Let me look in the code. Do we have the feed connected? Data controller feed, scroll. Interesting. I don't see it showing up. Maybe I'm gonna add a connect function real quick just to verify that the stimulus controller is loading properly. Just say hello world inside of connect, which connect is whenever the JS gets attached to the page. So it looks like it did work, but I guess our scroll code is not working correctly. So data action scroll, I guess what's happening is maybe this div isn't scrollable. So that's probably why we're not getting the scroll event. So if we can add overflow by scroll, and I think that'll enable scrolling. But maybe the element's just not big enough to be able to be scrolled. I'm not sure. Let me look this up. Does scroll event get triggered on element? Another thing is it might only get triggered on the document. It says the scroll event fires when the element is scrolled. But for whatever reason, it's not working for me. Scroll right here. So another thing that we could try is we could just listen for the window scroll. So we could say at window and do the same thing. I have a feeling that'll work better. Yeah, already you notice it's already working better. So we scroll down. And one funny thing to know about stimulus is I think it actually saves your page position. So look, if you were already scrolled down and you reloaded, for whatever reason, it saves the scroll position, which I guess is a feature, but at the same time, for this app, it might not be good. Because if the user was scrolled all the way down and we were like checking if they were already scrolled down before we reload, that might not be good. It's interesting. So one thing we might want to do is we might just want to reset the scroll whenever the page loads, which we could do inside the feed controller right here. So on connect, whenever the element connects to the page, we could just reset the scroll by saying this.element.scroll top equals, oh yeah, just set it to 0. So it will reset the scroll. Let's see if it works. It doesn't actually work because look, I'm still scrolled down for whatever reason. That's so funny. I'm gonna try to console log some stuff real quick. Let's just console log the element scroll top and the element scroll height. I want to see what that is. So we have scroll top is 0, scroll height is 182. Then why am I If that's true, then why am I way at the bottom? Oh, maybe. I'm so confused. Let's also console log this from the scroll event. Go ahead and do this. I'm just so confused. So look, the scroll top is actually not changing at all. That's the thing. And for whatever elements, or for whatever reason, these numbers are also different. There's some weird stuff going on. There's actually some weird stuff happening. So maybe it's not the element that we're scrolling. I think it's actually the document. So I'm going to replace this with document.window. Okay, no, they don't like that. Maybe just document. No, it doesn't like that. But document body. We're still getting like a weird thing where initially the number is a lot smaller and then the number changes. And you know what? I think what it is when you initially connect, do you see this? When you reload, for a split second, the video is smaller. See, the video is really small for a second. And that's because the video hasn't been rendered yet. So let's go back to the feed, show page, and the post partial. So right here we have height full, which means it's going to take up the full height of whatever, content is put inside of it. And that's probably not what we want to do. Instead, we could change this to a fixed height. So let's just give it like an 80 view height, fixed height. That should at least get rid of that scroll thing where there's like the initial scroll. So if you reload, it's at 881. There still is a little bit of a number change. But I bet if we just said like overflow hidden, I wonder if that would affect things. Yeah, check it out, guys. So it's hiding some stuff. It's hiding like the rest of the controls, and it's also changing how the scroll event works. Now we're not even getting a scroll event. So if I'd give it, how about height screen, which means height 100 view height? What would that do? So now we're at 1077. If I scroll, it stays at 1077, which is perfect because I don't want any confusion between those values. So as you just saw there, sometimes it can be kind of tricky. Another thing is, look, now that I did overflow hidden, the controls are actually hidden because I think they are overflowing for whatever reason. So what I really want is I want to go to this video tag and I want to make it so that it takes up the full height of this element instead of just using whatever default height it has. And I'll show you what I mean. So right now we don't have any classes on the video tag, which means the video is just rendering and it doesn't have any styling to tell it where to actually go and like what position to have. So what I want it to do is I want it to take up whatever the parent element is, like the 40 view width and the height screen. So all we have to add is just a width full, height full class. And now that should fix things. Yeah, check it out already. One thing that you notice is you can even see the background now because I guess our background was a little bit more wide than the video is, which is not really a problem. It actually looks pretty sweet. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad is what I'm saying. But on mobile, there's like kind of some weird things we might have to work through. And oh, if you don't know, you can test out mobile responsive by going to the JavaScript console, clicking this little like phone computer button, and then changing it to different devices to see how it looks. And actually, I don't think it looks too bad. Probably the biggest thing is just like the border is a little weird. It's a little weird. So we probably would want to just figure out what the absolute dimensions are for this, but it doesn't even matter when you think about it. I might even just get rid of the background color to, so we don't have that weird background color. And now it already looks like fine enough. One thing that's interesting is the controls. It looks like it extends a little bit more than the actual video. That's probably just something to do with, since we're using like width full, height full, it's going all the way over. But I'm pretty sure TikTok doesn't even use the default controls. So that's another thing we could do is we could get rid of these controls and add in our own controls if we want to, which is probably how TikTok does it. I don't really know. I don't want to work on that yet because I want to finish the feature that I was doing. The feature, heck, okay, now we're getting an error when I reload on mobile, and I've seen this so many times. For whatever reason, so Rails has this new thing where it declines browsers if they're not supported, which is kind of ridiculous. And then when you're using a simulator in control, you get this did I even say that right? When you're using a simulator in developer tools in Chrome, that's what I meant, in Chrome, we get this problem. I'm gonna look this up. Not accepted device simulator Chrome Ruby on Rails. I don't even know if anybody's talked about this. I'm gonna quickly go make an issue. And if nobody's fixed this, I mean, I'm gonna try to fix it. I don't know. Let's see this. It looks like there is a GitHub repo. When using the Chrome inspector to view a website at a mobile size. Exactly, dude, exactly. And it's like, thank you. This is because Modern only supports Safari 7.2 and the Chrome inspector is reporting Safari 16.6. I'm gonna add a comment. This is still happening. Now it is pretty annoying since Rails should be the best web framework out there. Having a bug like this really annoying and frustrating for new developers. Yeah, we need to fix this, guys. Like, what are you doing? I'm sure there could be some sort of workaround. We don't just have to say that it doesn't work. It's pretty annoying. I added a little comment. It's like, guys, what are we doing here? So all you gotta do is modify this thing, but that's so stupid. So stupid. What I would probably do is I would just let's go to app controllers, application controller, and just get rid of this whole line, only support modern browsers. Like, why do I care about that? If some guy wants to load up my site on a crappy old browser, I'm gonna let him do it, because I'm not just gonna shut down the site for him. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, now we're back. I'm gonna try to get this working. So still we're getting the same thing though with the scroll. The scroll top is not changing. I'm gonna look that up. Scroll top not changing. Stays at 0. And Stack Overflow is basically my go-to. Even though a lot of people are using ChatGPT now, I was using Stack Overflow for years, like once I first started coding. And there's always basically a good answer. ChatGPT is cool, but I just feel like they get it wrong a lot of times, and they're not even that good at coding. They always give me solutions that just don't make sense. And yeah, it's just like an AI thing. But Stack Overflow, wow, this is taking forever to load. So that's probably the one thing that I could complain about. Although, I don't want to be complaining. We got to stay positive, guys. I don't want this video to turn into a depressing video. What I really just need to figure out is why is the scroll top staying at 0? For some reason, Stack Overflow is not loading. I think GitHub does load, maybe, I don't know. Alright, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT. Let's see. I think my internet is just so bad, though. That's probably why nothing's loading. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think anything's going to load for me. So, in that case, oh, one thing, guys, check this out. When you reload, it actually gives you a different video because we're doing that sample, which is kind of cool. It like gives you a different video every time. Although it's not actually different, it's just, it'll give you a random video every time, which means there's definitely a high possibility that you reload and it gives you the same video, which is something we're going to have to figure out right away. But I just need to figure out this one thing. So if I go back in the code and go over to feed controller.js, oh, we're still using document body. That's my bad. I think we want to change this to the element again. Just .element. I'm gonna see if it changes. No, see, it still doesn't change the scroll top. It just stays exactly the same. I'm gonna print out the element too. And maybe we can actually right click, store it as a variable so that I can access it with JavaScript. Do stuff like check scroll height. That's that. What about offset height? That is basically the same thing. And to check scroll top is, for whatever reason, that's 0. If I say scroll into view, that's actually a method. Didn't really do anything. This is so weird. Wonder if I can check the scroll top of the document body. It's also 0. So I wonder what thing is getting scrolled here. When you scroll, like which thing is getting scrolled? Because that's the one that's going to have all the content. So it could be body, it could just be HTML. I wonder, can you say just like, maybe that's what the window is? No, that's not the window. Say document .html. No. Actually, document might be that. I don't know. All right, so I'm finally back. Try to continue. I had to take that break, like right when I had this error. It ended up just like the place I was staying wasn't that chill. Now I feel like I got a way better place. Super comfortable. Should be able to keep going on the series and make even more videos. So where we were at is I was trying to get this scroll event so that whenever the user like scrolls all the way down, I think that's how TikTok goes. Like you scroll
when you want.
I need to meet the site. So what happens is when you scroll all the way to the bottom, it would like load in a post. I'm trying to figure out how I could get. For whatever reason, the scroll event staying at 0. That's what I was trying to look up, but the Wi-Fi was so bad at the last create. We should be able to figure this out now. So interestingly, I think we're doing scroll on the window. I really wanted to do scroll just on the element, but for whatever reason, the scroll event wasn't triggering. Take off that window. Now I'm guessing it's because we have height full instead of a fixed height. So I wonder if I change this to like 125 view, a little bit more than 100, how that would change. Doesn't really look like it changes things too much. Could probably. This is interesting. So I think potentially what might need to happen is you would have another div that wraps this element that has a fixed height. So let's just say this is like, or actually maybe we could just do this on this element. So what I'm thinking is, or no, I think we do need to have an inner element that would overflow your element. That's kind of what I'm saying. So we had an element, if we had a div right here with height screen with full, and then just overflow by full, but then on the element inside of it, it was like height 25 view height, and there should definitely be some overflow, some scrolling. There even should be like the secondary scroll bar you might notice. Instead of scrolling the main, there's like 2. Let me see. So I think what we want to do then is we'd want to change this, feed controller, move the JavaScript up to a higher level. That's where the scroll event would get triggered anyways. And then this inner level is just kind of like the wrapper, which, let's see. Yeah, it actually does work. Totally works. Check it out. So just like I said, we needed a outer wrapper with the overflow Y scroll, and then an inner content has height that overflows. It still seems like very similar to how it was, but it looks like it's working a lot better. Now all we have to do is set up this equation better, because it looks like the scroll top is a really small number. It only goes up to like 240. we're gonna have to figure out how to calculate the exact scroll. Oh, what we could do is go over to that JavaScript controller feed controller, and I'm just gonna get rid of this connect function because we weren't really using that. For console log, what we would just only console log these values for now. Scroll top and the scroll height. See what we get. So look, it's still like this. The scroll height is huge, and the scroll top doesn't even get. I wonder if there's also like set height. Not somewhere before. Oh yeah, there is offset. So maybe what you do is we add. I'm gonna create a new variable. Act scroll height. What I'll do is I'll add these two there. This I'll set it equal to scroll top plus offset height. Then I'm going to console log that as well as scroll height. Yeah, look, check that out. It comes out basically perfect. And even like the last one is a little bit larger than the 1226, which I don't know why that is. But it does come out. But what we could do is basically just now do a comparison. Let's check if exact scroll height is greater than the scroll height. We can also do greater or equal to. Catch like maybe it doesn't have that 5 that just goes to the exact scroll height that's so triggered this event. So what I'll do is I'll just console log a message real quick. Like load next post. Then we can figure out the code to actually do that. Scroll down. Boom, check it out. You hit the bottom and it's gonna load the next post just like that. That's actually exactly how TikTok is saying. All we gotta do in this scenario right now, we already have like a random post showing up in code. So really all it would take is just reloading the browser. You can do that with JavaScript. So I can just look that up, like probably the simplest thing ever. All you have to do is location.reload. That's very, very simple right here. See if it works. So we scroll down. That is insane. Check it out. You now have your infinite yeah, TikTok. This is your TikTok right here. This works really well too. Crazy. Yeah, now I don't remember really how many posts but like I said, I created a bunch of shorts the other day. So if we wanted to create some more posts, this is like a drifting in Japan. Boom, I just created a post. I can drop in. I think this is also like in posts. Now we have a couple different posts. Look at, oh, check it out. Here's my drift video. Not my video. The short that I put in. Already pretty cool, although obviously there's a lot that we could do to improve this, of course. Let me post another car video. But that was kind of the feature that I was mainly trying to get. Scrolling, so that you can scroll down, it loads their post. But obviously, because we're just doing sample, because that's not like we don't have any algorithm right now. So let's be honest. Just showing a random means that there's a possibility, a pretty high possibility that you get the same post. Like check that out. I got the same post 3 times in a row. 2 times in a row, I got that same post again. So this is already not really like a gradient. I'm sure we could figure out a way to get around this, which I already kind of know. Like we could track the views. So as soon as you view one of these posts, we could say like they already viewed it, so let's not show it again. But there's like so many things that we can do to improve the app. One thing that I'm seeing is we're not showing like the title of the short. TikTok would want to show that somewhere here. Could at least display that for now. I'm thinking like let's keep it simple. Let's just go and add in the title. So let's go over to the app views feed post partial. And why don't we just simply put the title or the caption at the top, XXL, and we could just print out post.caption. Load. Now we have the caption, although on the left side, which is interesting because, oh yeah, on this top level element, flex, we can just change that to flex call. And now we get the title at the top, although I guess the way that we're rendering this, we have the overflow hidden. I don't think we really need overflow hidden when I think about it. Like dog sliding on grass. Actually, this is not bad right here. Maybe I'll make the text larger. Like you can totally see the title at least. That's good enough. And boom, yeah. The only thing is like, I think this is fair. Like as soon as you scroll to the bottom, it actually reloads. Just kind of how TikTok works. I'm already pretty happy with this. All right, so what's another thing we can do? I mean, we could of course improve this algorithm. I guess, yeah, why don't we just do that? Because there's no reason why we can't. So all we have to do is create a view model. So a model to track if a user has seen the post. Have they watched? That's the thing. So what I'm thinking is we have that post model. So if we go to models, that post to RB model. So we could create a post view model, just like a post : view. And we could create that every time a user has seen a post on the feed. And we can track those views. Let's go ahead and create that model by going to terminal one more time. And we're going to run RLG model. Model, we don't need to do scaffold because I don't want all that thread functionality. I just want the model to track and to sort data. So let's do RLG model, post / view. And it's going to have, of course, it's going to belong to a post. It's also going to belong to the user. That's actually all we need is post belongs to, user belongs to. Now, of course, you could track if there was other information, like let's say you wanted to track how long they watched the video. That's something that like YouTube, SoundCloud, all those. I think TikTok probably would track that too. You could probably put it your field here, but for right now, we don't even need to think about that. So all I want to do is track if a user has viewed the post, and if they have, we don't show it to them again. That's really the only thing. So with this model, we should be good. So I'm going to press enter. View. Now it's going to ask if you want to override the post to RB. Say no because I already have code there. We don't want to override it. And it's just because I did the slash. I think Rails was trying to be helpful and like create the first model if it doesn't already exist. But yeah, we don't need that. So let's just generate this very simply, and then I'm going to migrate the database because we have a table. And as you can see, it creates this table post views. That should be good. Now I'm going to go and let's take a look at our models real quick and make sure properly. So let's go to the app models. Let's go to the user first. So of course, like I said, I think I said this in like when you generate a new model, the child, so let's just call it the child. If you go to the post view to RB, this is the model that we generated, right? And we specified the parents. So in object-oriented programming, you kind of just call it model belong. And then your model has just have it's kind of like, you know, a whole family. Think about it. But on the post view, it belongs to a post. It also belongs to user. This is perfectly good. We just need to add the association. We have to add really just one line to each model. So let's go over to post RB. We need to tell it about views that it has. So we can say it has many views. Now, because it's not just a view model, it's actually that namespace post : view. We have to specify the class name. This, at least I'm pretty sure. So if we say post : view, yeah, that's probably how it. And basically just copy the same thing over to user. Now they both should know about the views, and it'll load up the correct class, which is view. So that is perfect. Now what we'll do is on controllers, feed controller. So on the show, see, we're just doing the sample. What we can do is we can create a view for user. So why don't we just say post.views? We could do a find or create by, because let's say just for whatever reason, like the user gets shown the same post. We don't want to create two views for the same user, at least not right now. Like that doesn't really make sense for our app. So instead we'll do find or create by, which means either find an existing one or it'll create a new one. And we're going to do this by the user ID. It'll just be current underscore user.id. And boom, that's really all it is. So we can track the views. So I want to make sure this works by just reloading. Didn't get any errors. If I go in the console, check that out. We have an insert into post views, which means a view is created. And then if we go over to our console, go into the Rails console by doing Rails C, I'm going to say user.last. See, that is my user that I just had created. Now I'm going to check the views and see it returns an array of all of my views. So this is helpful because now we could totally display like a view history of all the posts. Check it out. Each post view has a post ID that it's associated to and a user ID. That is basically perfect. Now, of course, we still have the thing where we're just showing, a random post. So check it out. If I reload, there's a huge possibility that I get shown post. Like right there, I got showed the same post 2 times in a row, 2 times in a row again. There we go. So now if we wanted to just totally not show any posts that haven't already seen, we have to bring in some SQL query magic. So on this part where we're setting the post, all we're doing is we're just sampling one, which means like grab one random post out of all of them, which I'm sure this isn't even that performant either, because you have to load up every post. So once your app gets to like a million or a billion posts, I don't know how performant this would be. I don't even know if Rails would be probably smarter ways that we can do this, but let's just say that we want to scope this. So these are the posts that we're loading. We could even break this off in another variable if you wanted to, or you could just keep it the same. So I'm just going to call it like posts. These are going to be the posts that we're going to sample from. So now that we have that view, what I want to do is I want to search for posts that a user has not seen. So we could just do the query right here. Probably a good start. And then if we want to like clean it up, maybe do a model, we can do that. That's always kind of a good thing, just for reuse. Put a method post model to find certain posts. Anyways, I might just create a comment too so we can show what we're trying to do. So I'm trying to find posts that a user has not viewed. Really as simple as that. So how would we do this query? I think what we'd have to do is, first of all, we'd have to include the view. I think you do includes. You can either do includes or joins. And that means it's going to fetch its tiled database table, because you can't just query on like the top level. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do a nested query. We're going to query the posts like this whole. So that's why you have to include the other table that we're going to use. I'll show you what I mean. So once we add the dot where, so that's how you do your SQL query in Rails. We're going to do a where. It's going to execute whatever SQL you pass in. So for us, I want to search through the views. So I'm going to do a views key, and then I'm going to put in a hash. And we can search for certain attributes on tiled table. So if I put in like the user ID, current user.id, what this should actually do is this should load up all of the posts that the user has seen. Check it out, we're doing .where. The views have a user ID with user ID. Now, why don't we just go and test this, see if it even works. And go back to that Rails console, stop the server, go into Rails C, and we're gonna have to define current user here because we don't have it available. So I'll just set that to user.last. And then we can run the same piece of code and see if we're using current user right here. Let's see if it even works. So, I mean, It created a SQL query. There wasn't an error, but now we have to actually try to like count them. No way, it actually worked. Usually what would happen is if there's an error, the initial query might not break, but then when you try to do something like count it or like access a post, it would then cause an error. But that actually didn't break at all. And I think it did pull up all of the posts that a user has seen. Crazy. So I think if we wanted to check all of the posts that a user has not seen, all we have to do is add .not after .where. That's something that I do in Rails all the time. You can basically just reverse whatever the query is, like you can say opposite. Instead of checking all the ones that a user has seen, it's all the ones that the user hasn't seen. You can also test that again. Console open. Yeah, we do. And oh, it looks like maybe the user has seen all the posts. It's kind of funny. But it's not the weirdest thing to happen because I know we don't have that many posts. So what I'll do is I'm just going to destroy all of these post views because they're not really that important. And what we'll do is we'll just run the same query again, all the posts that a user has not seen, and it's returning nil, which is not good. Look, there's no views, so really what it should do is it should return stock count, which is 6. So there should be 6 posts that a user has not seen. But with this query, we're including views and we're checking where not a view your ID. But I guess that doesn't work. Sometimes in cases like this, you have to like do custom SQL. Well, there should be an easy way to figure this out. Maybe I'll try to use joins. Well, that's kind of silly. Yeah, it didn't help. I think joins and include does pretty much the same. Crazy, because if we do a where, if we actually search for the ones that a user has seen, now it returns an empty, right? Because I haven't seen anything. We already deleted this. But then doing the opposite doesn't work. I wonder, what does this return? What is just like the first part where we include view? What does that return? It actually returns all of the posts. Count this, see there's 6 posts. I have to look this up real quick. How to find not have certain attribute. This is how you would use to like look up stuff in the old days before ChatGPT. Because I know I could just drop that in ChatGPT and tell me, but I don't. Okay, so they're saying that I should do 2 queries. There's probably actually I could have started with that. I was trying to do it all in one, kind of be like smart, but we really wanted to just hack it. Yeah, let's just hack it. Okay, so I think I just was overthinking this. What we actually have to do. Let's create a variable viewed post. This would just be current user.views, and what we want to do is we want to grab the post that a user has viewed. I know the easiest way, in my opinion, to do this is we can go over to the app models user.rb. This is like the easiest, but also the clean. So we can create has many viewed posts, and then this is going to be through views, and then we have to grab the source. So whatever the source, attribute or association was, which is post, this should actually work. Now we could grab the viewed post off of user.last.post. Check it out, returns empty array. I think that's just because we don't have any views right now. That should actually work. Restart the server. Back in our code. So what I want to do is once we have the viewed posts, what we can do is we can do another query. So we'll set the post variable like we were doing. This will be post.where not ID is viewed post. We want to grab all of the IDs off of the post. So all we have to do is, oh, actually, this was wrong. We're grabbing views. So we don't even need this variable up here. I'm just going to delete that. Now we can get it off of the user. Say current user dot viewed posts. Then we can pluck the ID. We'll return a whole ID of posts that you have, like the whole. So return a whole all of the posts, and this query is going to pull up the posts that do not match that ID. So essentially, this just finds all of the posts that you have not. Yeah, it's kind of confusing to say this. I haven't done any complex SQL on my channel. Be hard to explain. What I really want to do is I kind of want to move this into on model. Although this is not even that bad. I think I might just rename this, instead of posts, we can say like new posts. These would be new posts that you haven't seen. And yeah, probably a good start. So let's see if it works. So the way that we really want to test is we shouldn't see any duplicate posts here. Let's see. Got the first post here. Load, post, reload. I'm not seeing any duplicates. Oh, this is insane. So it actually worked, because now we get an error that there wasn't any more posts to view. That's where the last line, we're trying to create a view, but if we weren't able to grab any posts, that means that you've already viewed all of the posts. So all we have to do is just basically do like an if post at the end of this so that we don't create the view. There's no post. Load, I'm sure there's going to be another error. They're going to be like no caption. So now we have to kind of handle it on the view. We go over to view show page. What I would probably do is just like check here. How about we do it inside? We're rendering posts, so we'll say if at post render post else, and just do a little message. Message. Say no more posts to watch. Which is probably not something that would ever happen on TikTok since there's a billion posts. But on our app, that's fairly new. It's a possibility. See, it's just like no more posts to watch. We could probably motivate them to like create a post. We could put another message that says like create your videos, or I don't know. Share your videos. Grow the platform. Honestly pretty tired right now, but I just wanted to finish this video for you guys. Just so glad that I even so probably, I mean, that's not bad. And see, you can even do the reload thing. You can still like scroll down and reload, but there's just not. Hey, can't believe we got that working. That's awesome. Guess I could go ahead and create some videos. Dog videos. Just check it out. I'm going to create the post, and boom, right away it's going to show the post. I can watch and everything, but then of course when I reload, we're out of posts that you have seen. Now if we go to incognito and we go as a new user, obviously they wouldn't have watched any posts yet. They wouldn't have like, went on the app. But one thing that I noticed, the mobile on this homepage is not great. Probably should kind of see how the buttons are all squished and like got messed up. Let me try to fix that real quick. That might be a good place to end part 2 of the TikTok. Go to the view pages home, and right here we have this div with the grid calls too. So we want to do that on medium and larger, and then on the smaller screen, check it out, it'll like automatically fix that and make it look better. Now for the text, we're using text 7XL, which is pretty big. You can say like only on large, maybe on medium it's like 5XL, and on small it's 2XL. There we go, much better. And for the Rails image, it adds, probably make that a little smaller. I think this is looking pretty good now. Go ahead and sign up. Sign up. Hey, this is pretty chill. So yeah, now with the new account, we wouldn't have viewed any posts yet. We should be able to like go through and watch every post in the app. And then boom, when you finally get to the end of all the posts, it's like, sorry, no more posts. But eventually, once you have like a huge amount of posts, of course that wouldn't be an issue. One thing right away, this bar is kind of annoying me because it's not really set up for mobile. Probably something we want to fix, but I might just leave it for the next. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, stay tuned. I'm gonna come back and really focusing on creating new videos. I want to finish this series. I also want to work more on the Discord app. Probably I want to release that to I can start using that to talk to you guys and connect one-on-one and in chats and everything. Yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, I appreciate all